So Harry Callis used to always say that if you go to the ballpark, you're going to see something that you never saw before. You could be the biggest baseball fan of the world. You could be the biggest fan of your team in the world. And you go to the ballpark, you can see something that you never saw before. I can honestly tell you, I have seen Steve Lyons in my time take his pants off at second base after sliding into second base, completely forgetting where he was. After sliding in there, trying to get the dirt out of his pants, just took his pants off and then caught his, oh, wait, what am I doing? I'm at second base. I shouldn't do this. I've seen, some wardrobe malfunctions in the sport of baseball. Guys' pants ripping, I've seen that and stuff like that. I have never seen a pitcher walk off the mound because he needed a new belt. And Lance Lynn yesterday walked off the mound. I think it was the fourth inning, maybe. He walked off the mound and I need a new belt, guys. Everybody hold on. And one of the things that was kind of funny about it was that it was raining in St. Louis. They were trying to get the game in, and we got a belt delay going on right now because Lance Lynn needs a new buckle or something. I don't know, but I've never seen that before, but it happened. So with that, welcome into the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. My belt's just fine. My belt's just fine. JT Realmuto, all worries out the window, returned to action yesterday after leaving the previous game early, and he took a bouncer to the jugular. Returned to the game yesterday. He was fine. 2 hits, including he was the beneficiary of the long fly ball in the deep center field that just bounced off of Scott II's glove that he misplayed, and it resulted in a run. So, hey, put the ball in play. Good things happen, as they say. Aaron Nola also gave you 6 innings of work, 2 runs. Didn't have his best stuff. And when I say didn't have his best stuff, he threw only 3 pitches yesterday. He threw he threw more than 3 fastballs, but 3 fastballs in particular that topped out at 91 miles per hour. If I got Aaron Nola out there, I don't know if velo was a little bit of a thing last year for a while. Then he hit a little bit of a stride for about a month where he was actually, popping the mid at consistently 93, 94, touching 95 every once in a while. This could be the ramp-up period, that some people talk about. For me, I'm not so sure. But yesterday was certainly an example of not having his best stuff. Now, all joking aside regarding Lance Lynn, he didn't have his best stuff yesterday either. Both pitchers struggling with the mound. Throughout the game, constant mini delays so they could come out and I forget what they call the substance, but let's just call it sawdust. Sawdust, that's what they used when I was in Little League. Sawdust the mound, sawdust the base pads and all that, because it was just so rainy in St. Louis. And misting throughout the entire game at the least. Both pitchers had issues. Nola yesterday, we'll get into his numbers a little bit more, but he certainly had his struggles, especially in the early goings. So we'll get into the Phillies game yesterday. They won, 2nd straight series. Great to see that. The 76ers got a little bit of help. We'll take a look at the Eastern Conference standings right now, in particular surrounding that 6th seed. So we'll talk about that as the Sixers got a little bit of help from the Dallas Mavericks to put a little bit more space between them and the Miami Heat. We'll get into that conversation. And the Philadelphia Eagles know their week 1 opponent. And it went to me like this. It just makes sense. The Green Bay Packers makes a lot of sense. The idea of it being the Browns, I know some people were kicking that around. I was kicking that around. A game that really wouldn't matter, a game that really wouldn't mean much, not even a conference game. They're not going to put that on the international level. They're going to put something of some substance. And they're also going to put 2 quarterbacks that could be pretty exciting for the foreign audience there in Brazil. And that would be Jalen Hurts versus Jordan Love. Do I want every single home game? This isn't too much to ask. Am I happy that other fans get a chance to see them? Sure. And I didn't even know it, but apparently the Eagles have a big fan base in Brazil. We're going to have a leader of their fan base on our show. That's right. They got a leader to their fan base. We're going to have him on the show. I've already talked to him. We're going to get him on the show. We're going to get their excitement level. I'm sure it's just absolutely pumping down there with excitement for the Philadelphia Eagles. But hey, if there's a home game for the Eagles, I'd like that home game to be played at Lincoln Financial Field. So sue me, okay? But just seeing their week 1 opponent, become officially official yesterday as Adam Schefter dropped the news, and I look forward to more schedule leaks, quote unquote, coming out. I just got the itch. Just got the itch. And then the Eagles start talking about a deal with Devontae Smith that could get done in the not too distant future. Oh, it gets you going. It gets you going. So I'm ready for the season to start already. I know still got the draft coming up in a couple weeks, and I am stoked for it as well. Let's start it off with your Philadelphia Phillies, ladies and gentlemen, because they had actually a game yesterday. After 3 teams in action 2 days ago, it was just the Phillies in action yesterday. Aaron Nola was a guy that, of course, I was going to be watching with a microscope to see how he would be faring in yesterday's weather. He went out there and threw 21 pitches in the first inning, and of those 21 pitches, only 10 of them were for strikes. So it's going to be a bit of a long day. But bottom line, got out of there unscathed. And after the Phillies were able to give him 2 runs of support in the top of the first inning, he came in the bottom of the second inning and at least got out of that jam. When I talk about 10 pitches for strikes, he started Gorman and Arenado 3-0. Not ideal. Fastball in that first inning was topping out at 90 miles per hour. Like I said, he only hit 91 maybe 3 times in the game. He did issue a walk to start things off on just 5 pitches. Things were a little bit nervous for Aaron Nola to get things underway. At least I was nervous that the Phillies wouldn't come away with this win. And when they finally spotted him some runs in the early goings, in the top of the first inning, for instance, he wouldn't be able to use the run support that he had already been given. Sure enough, second inning then rolls around. Herrera hits a home run, 3-2 pitch that he just clobbered. It was a knuckle curve that hung up there in the zone. And man, oh my goodness, did Herrera just jump all over that. Then Burleson came up, and this is what was concerning. It was 2 outs to finish the inning there. Burleson hit a ball on the screws to Bryson Stott at second base. Bryson Stott's able to get it and throw him out. And then Walker came up and hit a bullet of a ground ball to Alec Boehm that he dove to his left and just smothered it and threw him out, Walker at first base. But 2 hard-hit balls on Aaron Nola that could have been worse, but defense was able to help him out there. Then in the third inning, Aaron Nola gave up a home run to Brendan Donovan. First row home run. Went down and got it. It was not a great pitch to hit. Excuse me, middle of the plate, certainly, but he had to go down and get it, and he went down and got it and put it in the first row of the stands. So after that, it was a 2-2 ball game. Phillies offense, though, somehow made some things happen, especially in that 6th inning. Now, Rob Thomson did something interesting yesterday. He moved Brandon Marsh up. He flipped Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott around Nick Castellanos. When I first saw it yesterday, I went, wait, hold on a second. Castellanos got 2 hits the previous game, and now you're bumping him down and moving Marsh up, but that wasn't the case. I don't know, I saw some other people on social media were a little confused about that as well, but he just flipped Stott and Marsh because Marsh is hitting 333 now after yesterday. Another hit for him yesterday. And Nick Castellanos got another hit yesterday that actually turned out to be the game winner. But Bryson Stott not producing, so Rob Thomson made the move this early in the season. See if he could get Marsh a couple of more ABs by moving him up in the order. It turned out paying off for him yesterday. Marsh came up with another hit and continues to produce for this Phillies lineup. The thing that came out of yesterday's game, 2 things really that jumped out. Nola didn't have his best stuff. They won the game. 6 innings, 2 runs. You can live with that. JT's fine. I acknowledge that. That's good. But Nick Castellanos having another day of getting a hit is great. And Nick Castellanos showing up early before game 2 of this series to get some extra batting practice in, the way it was described, as I mentioned yesterday, you had 2 buckets of baseballs that he went out there to hit. Go for it, man. Do your thing, Nick Castellanos. All of us have been very short-tempered with Nick Castellanos, really even since the playoffs last year. Get it right is all we ask. Get it right. And if this is what it took, a couple of buckets of baseballs to go out there for a little extended or extra batting practice or you to flip it around, good. And I'm glad he acknowledged it in April and not, late May, early June. I'm glad it's acknowledged now. So, hey, 3 hits, 2 games, an RBI single yesterday that proves to be the difference in the ball game in that 6th inning. Keep it coming. 3 opposite field hits, by the way, in that 6th inning for the Phillies. That shows they're just going with the pitch, baby. Go with the pitch. You got to love it. The other thing from yesterday's game that I really liked, Johan Rojas got himself another hit. I don't want to be overly concerned with a 9-hole hitter. And I'm certainly not looking at Johan Rojas right now to be like, oh, he needs to be sent down. It's April. There are plenty of guys that have their struggles in the early parts of the season. Kyle Schwarber has his struggles in the early parts of the season. He got a hit yesterday, which was great. Worked a walk to lead off the game that ended up coming around the score in that JT Realmuto line drive to center field that Scott couldn't handle. And Schwarber scored from first. Then Bohm steps up. He gets another RBI single, so he keeps hitting. But there are guys that are going to take a while to get their bats going. The last person I am going to panic over is a 9-hole hitter on any team. If you're a fan of any team, you don't hit the panic button over your 9-hole hitter. The other thing is if he's the one, again, this doesn't change now that just the season started. What we said at the beginning of the year still holds true now. If it's Johan Rojas that's killing you in the lineup, you got bigger problems. So I'm going to continue to let him sink or swim for this MLB season. He's going to get the Bryson Stott treatment as I describe it. You sink or swim. You're going to get this. You're going to be allowed to fail. If we see you struggle, we might give you a day off, but we're not going to bench you for a week where all of a sudden all you're going to do is be a pinch runner and Brandon Marsh is going to go into center field. If it continues to be a problem, then, hey, look, you got to do something with the guy. But I don't think he's in danger of being sent down. I don't think he's in danger of being taken out of the lineup for a significant amount of time, especially since he seems to, 4 hits in this series. Maybe he's turning it around a little bit for himself. So they're going to give him that opportunity. Any glimmer of hope for Johan Rojas, he's going to get that chance to go out there and do his thing. So that's what. Also, I still don't know how they got the game in. I know the motivation behind getting the game in, but one thing, the Lance Lynn taking his belt off, and the other, I have never seen the three umpires get together and start. I think Tom McCarthy was right on point when he said it. If you watched the game yesterday, Tom McCarthy basically had them doing the chicken dance, whatever waddle that was with them in shallow right field or shallow center field, whatever it was, trying to get the rain off of them or stay warm. I don't know, but this game is just full of things I had never seen before. So there you go. One thing did jump. Jeff Hoffman blew the save, unfortunately, in game 1 of this series where the Phillies had to go into 10 innings to win it. Came back yesterday, gave up a hit, but other than that, took care of business, recorded the save. That was big. As I thought, watching the game play out, Jose Alvarado was not available for yesterday's game. Rob Thomson just says workload's been too much. His pitch count's been too high. So he was unavailable for the Phillies yesterday. So that's the way that game shook out. Now the Phillies have an opportunity here. 4-game series against the Pirates starting in South Philadelphia today, 6:45. So I look forward to seeing what the Phillies do in that series. Pirates, 9 wins on the season. How about them Pittsburgh Pirates? How about that? Ranger Suarez will get the ball for your Phils today. The 76ers were not active yesterday, yet they got a little bit of help in the standings with the Dallas Mavericks being able to take care of business against the Miami Heat. So the Heat were only a half game behind the Sixers. Now the Heat are a full game behind your 10-9-8 76ers. A little bit of breathing room. Sixers remain a game behind the Indiana Pacers going into tonight's action. Magic also a game ahead of the 10-9-8 76ers. And who do the Sixers play tomorrow night? In South Philadelphia. Who do they play? They play the Orlando Magic. You got in action tonight Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Knicks are a little bit better than these teams that I'm showing you here on the monitor. And Friday, Sixers will host the Magic at 7. Boston's back at it as they host the Hornets. Pacers are at Cleveland. Oh, boy. One root for Cleveland at that point. Knock down the Pacers. At least that's the way I know everyone has their own little things they're rooting for, but I'm just rooting for the Sixers to get to that 6 seed. Pacers are at Cleveland, so that'll be huge. Miami being in the rearview mirror now, I'm not as concerned about, but the more losses they have, the better, obviously. Then you look down the schedule a little bit more in the Eastern Conference. That pretty much sets the table for you. on Friday's games. So Indiana at Cleveland at 7:30, Sixers, Orlando, 7 o'clock in South Philly. Those are the big games on the schedule for Friday night. And my week has been all sorts of turned around because I have an event tomorrow night. Actually, Ertz Family Foundation I look forward to at Brooklyn Bowl to benefit the Ertz Family Foundation. Lisa Ertz will be there. Zach's mom, Zach, will be there, of course. Julie will be there. So I look forward to that. So I have my days all confused now. But that's at the end of yesterday's show. It was throwing me a curveball. But this is the schedule. This is the standings that you have for the Sixers to try to get up to that 6th playoff seed. So the best case scenario for the Sixers, they handle the business there and pick up a game on the Magic, even things up with them, who they hold the tiebreak against. And then the Pacers lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's what you're rooting for. Tonight, nothing going on. Nothing going on. Tomorrow night, huge implications with how the playoffs are going to be seeded Friday night. That's what we're looking at for the Sixers. I'm glad that this is caught on. I saw Keith Pompey write a story about this. Kelly Oubre, the clutch player that he has been for the Sixers over the last month of the season, is something I did not expect. I was expecting him to be a nice piece. I was expecting him to be a nice player off the bench for the Sixers. That's what I was expecting from Kelly Oubre. I was not expecting him to all of a sudden be the 3rd best player on this team. And I guess if you're really going to break it down, not including any trades going on here, it was like, all right, well, Tobias Harris got to step up again, right? Because he's a clear-cut number 3 now. It's not Embiid and James Harden and Maxey and then Harris. Harris has really got to step up this year. Harris has been Harris. Tobias Harris has been Tobias Harris. Kelly Oubre is the guy over the last month of the season that has shown how valuable he is. And one of the things that I forgot about that Keith Pompey highlighted in the story is that he's on a minimum deal. He came here to Philadelphia, minimum. He ain't making bank, bruh. He's out there on a prove-it deal, essentially, and I think he has really proven it here with the 76ers, what level of a player he can be. And when he's out there on the court, it might not be a 30-point night or a 32-point night like he had against the Raptors a week ago. He's out there every single night giving you efficient minutes. And the best part about it are the clutch minutes, the clutch baskets he makes. You're struggling against the Heat, enter Kelly Oubre with a big play. You need to get things going again against the Grizzlies, enter Kelly Oubre. Against the Spurs, late in the game, Kelly Oubre is all of a sudden become the spark on this team. And he's become the player that has been a big motivating factor for a lot of these guys and been a guy to squash momentum of another team to get it swung back in the direction of the 76ers. Like, if you look at his numbers over the season, this is where numbers never lie, but they sure as hell deceive. He is a hell of a lot better than a 15.5-point scorer per game. And if you look over the last, let's say, month of the season for Kelly Oubre and what he's been able to do for this squad, you look at his numbers through the year, and what he is doing right now in the month of April, over 20 points per game. That's his highest point total in a month, or excuse me, highest points per game in a month throughout the entire season. You look at March, I mentioned earlier, in the year without Joel Embiid, through February, the first full month without Joel Embiid, you saw Tyrese Maxey kick his numbers up from 25 points per game to almost 28 points per game without Joel Embiid for that first month in February. Then his numbers went back down to about 25 points per game again for Tyrese Maxey in the month of March. Well, wouldn't you know it, in the month of March, Kelly Oubre went out there and again got his point average per game up to 19 points per game. And then what did he do? What has he done so far in this month of April? He's gotten back up to 20 points per game. He hasn't done that at all at any point this season. And again, the best part about it is not just that it's 20 points per game and that looks good on a stat sheet or on a box score or anything like that. It's clutch. They're not just, oh, he has a hot first quarter and then he gets 4 points the rest of the game or anything like that. No, down the stretch, he really starts heating up. And it's the aggression that I thought was a fault in the beginning of the season, especially after the trade deadline, after the Sixers got Buddy Hield. It was the aggression that I thought was a fault of Kelly Oubre that has turned out to be his greatest strength. Because I don't know if my personal theory on it. Look, we see Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris isn't coming up with clutch points. Tobias Harris isn't coming up with, vital points, clutch points, momentum swinging buckets or anything like that. You got to think that if you're a player, you smell that, you see that. And you know that he's not going to be the guy with the ball in his hands when it matters most, especially if Maxi's getting a breather, if Joel Embiid's on the bench. You need somebody else to step up, and who's going to be that guy? Yeah, sure, you can have some shooters out there that'll knock down some shots here and there. But in terms of a guy that will really attack the rim, in terms of a guy that will really try to swing the momentum of a game, that's Kelly Oubre. That's not Tobias Harris. One of the things I don't like about the excuse, explanation, whatever you want to call it. Forget about the money for a second. Let's just talk about production on the court. Tobias Harris is the guy that I feel shies away from the moment and will look for an excuse to not be the guy. I want guys that even if they're not the guy, I want them to want to be the guy. All right? That's what I want in a basketball. That's what I want in any player. I don't want a guy to I'm forfeiting my own skill to help the rest of the team because there's so much ball. There's only one ball to go around. I want to make sure that everyone's getting the time. No. How about you be the guy? I've seen you play some pretty good basketball over the years, not just for the Sixers, but for some other squads as well. I think what did you play? 6 other teams? It's insane, And he goes out there and just turtles up in big moments. And if you're watching him as a fan, that's what you can expect from Tobias Harris. You think Kelly Oubre came here and went, I got to defer to Tobias Harris? No, I think he went, maybe I got to defer to Joel Embiid. Other than that, all due respect, Tyrese Maxey. Other than that, if I have an opportunity to score the rock, if I have an opportunity to be aggressive and play the best version of my game, which is really how I help any team, I'd be the best version of myself, then I'm going to go out and do that. So what's wild to me is that you go through the entire contract of Tobias Harris, with Joel Embiid being here in Philly, and you knew he was never going to top Joel Embiid. But every single variation of this team has gotten almost a worse version of Tobias Harris. I got to make sure that Joel gets his touches. I got to make sure James Harden gets his touches. I got to make sure even Ben Simmons, who wasn't a shooter at all, isn't a shooter, will never be a shooter. Tobias Harris still turtling up to that as an offensive game. Jimmy Butler, obviously. It's really wild. And now Kelly Oubre? Didn't see that coming. As a guy who's been, I believe, a Toby truther, which is not like, it's not, there's people that are the worst back, like, sucks and all that. Like, no, not really. Is he worth the contract? No, we can all agree on that. But I didn't expect Kelly Oubre to leapfrog him in the pecking order of scorers. That's one thing I did not have on my bingo card this year. If you did, hey, good for you. I did not. I did not have that. I did not have that on my bingo card. So, hey, look, 2 more games left in the season. Sixers have an opportunity get up to that 6th seed. As things wind down, we'll see the availability tomorrow night of Kyle Lowry. I'm sure Tyrese Maxey will be back in that game. You're playing a playoff contender, obviously, there in the Orlando Magic. You've already handled your business against the Magic so far this season, but it just means all that matters right now is stacking wins, not necessarily tie breaks. So seeing that will be a great thing for the 76ers tomorrow night. I mentioned the Eagles earlier. One thing that I'm really looking forward to is this deal getting done with Devontae Smith. And the reports have come out. Tim McManus, ESPN, put out a report how the Eagles are working hard and things are progressing with Devontae Smith being here in Philadelphia for a long time. There is a lot that goes into this offseason with the Eagles. And, yeah, sure, a lot of it does have to do with just putting last year and the way it collapsed in your rearview mirror and doing that as quick as humanly possible. And Saquon Barkley being an Eagle now certainly helps put that in the rearview mirror. Knowing that your coordinators have a lot of experience, they don't just have experience, they have success in their positions with the Eagles. Just looking at this year, I know I've gotten into it many times talking about the vicious cycle that the Eagles have gotten themselves into. If you have another successful season and then you have another offensive coordinator that flies the coop because he all of a sudden gets a head coaching offer somewhere else, then Nick Sirianni's still here, then you bring in another head coach, or you bring in another offensive coordinator, and you're in this vicious cycle of holding on to Sirianni and bringing in the next offensive. Oh, the next offensive coordinator gets a job somewhere else. Oh, Nick Sirianni's still here. As long as the Eagles are winning, I'm happy. Does it seem like a good strategy by the Eagles right now? Not really. But just talking about the upcoming 2024 season, seeing the news about Devontae Smith, hopefully that gets worked out in the not-too-distant future, and the news that they're going to start the season against the Green Bay Packers, that pulls you into focus. That pulls your attention immediately. Because one of the big things that came out of last year, especially with the Eagles playing as terrible as they did down the stretch, is this conversation about Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. I really like Jordan Love's game. And I know if you go with extreme recency bias, there are a lot of people that would rank Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts. I ain't there yet. I love the idea of these guys facing off against one another just from a quarterback standpoint. After that, I also love the idea that these are two NFC playoff teams that are going to be facing off in week 1. So there's no all right, let's ramp up to the season with some cupcake opponent. Let's ramp up to the season like that. No. This is all systems go. This matters. It's the next best thing to a NFC East rivalry starting off the season. You're at least getting the NFC rivalry. You're at least getting maybe a team that was on the upswing and on the upswing right now in the NFC with a team that was now maybe hopefully not on the downswing in the Philadelphia Eagles. Super Bowl appearance, 10-1 the following season, and then all of a sudden they go on the crapper at the end of the year. Green Bay Packers find a way to win games. End of the season, they rally. All of a sudden, they're in the playoffs. All of a sudden, they're winning a playoff game in Dallas on the road. And then, things fizzled out for them. But a lot of talk was about their quarterback, and not just the team and how they're on the upswing, but their quarterback as well. So right out of the gate, seeing these two teams kick off is phenomenal. Do I wish it was in South Philly? Obviously. But it's not. So there's nothing that's going to change about that. It's the only thing that matters really is whether or not the Eagles are going to come out of that Brazil game with a victory. You talk about acquisitions. Xavier McKinney obviously was a guy that a lot of people in Philadelphia really wanted. He sided with Green Bay, and that's that at this point. By the way, continued a conversation about the Eagles adding to their secondary and Justin Simmons not being that guy, but instead Patrick Surtain. What started out at the end of the season as the Eagles parting ways maybe with James Bradberry and just eating the $11 million of dead cap has dwindled into, all right, well, he's going to be back. And then I see the stories out there about Patrick Surtain potentially being moved and whether or not the Eagles would be kicking the tires in that department. Whether or not they think, well, he says some good things. He has good things to say about Vic Fangio, his former head coach. Maybe this would be a great destination for him. The Eagles, as we know, have not drafted a corner in the first round since Lito Shepherd. And think about that. Lito and Sheldon Brown. I saw that graphic the other day. I think Jacob made it, as a matter of fact. The Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown, same draft. Think about these days, okay? We went from, for those old enough, Bobby Taylor. Think about this. Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent to Lito and Sheldon. Like that was like Brian Westbrook to LaShawn McCoy. Like there was no like skip. And like we didn't have a problem where we're like, oh, well, we don't have any corners. No, for two brief generations, if you will, 4 or 5 years, right? It was just good. Went from one 5-year, 6-year run to another 5-6 year run. That's pretty damn good. And then we went to free agents. We had Nnamdi Asomugha. We all know. Look, we know the history lesson there. So they haven't had great success in terms of drafting corners. Nnamdi in free agency, not great. Also, not great. Darius Slay's been pretty damn good for this team. James Bradberry was good, one good year. Everyone's now talking about a bounce back year and a Fangio scheme, and I'm like, isn't that kind of what we were doing already? No, okay. Anyway, so I don't really have that hope. I am more crossing my fingers that the Eagles get a good corner. I'm on the Kool-Aid McKinstry train when it comes to drafting a corner in this NFL draft. When it comes to the offensive line, that could be certainly something they explore and something I expect them to do in the first round. But that just leans me more, as I've been going through this offseason, we've talked about potential of trading back to get more picks. Maybe you're able to get another linebacker in here early in the draft, second round. Maybe that's the case, the day 2 draft. And other than that, I'm looking at the cornerback position for the Eagles. And the more I think about them not taking a corner in the first round, and the more I become sold on them taking an offensive lineman in the first round, the more I start to think that maybe a deal with Patrick Surtain is possible. Maybe a draft day trade is there for the making. You can never rule it out with Howie Roseman. I mean, just 2-3 years ago now, we're talking about the Eagles getting Jordan Davis and getting A.J. Brown in the same night. That was a good night. I like nights like that. Last year, it wasn't some miraculous trade. He moved up a little, right? But Jalen Carter ends up going to the Eagles. Like, that's pretty damn good. Like, that's a good night at the draft. And then you got Nolan Smith, a guy that they seem to be still high on. Me, not so much. They're still high on him. I'm still waiting for it. But that's where we're at right now, and we're just a couple of weeks away from seeing exactly where Howie goes. But with everything being out there right now, I don't see them taking a corner in that first round. I see them going offensive line. I see them going in the trenches in the early goings of that, in the first round, first day of the draft. And then after that, I think they start focusing on the defense. And that's what I'll cross my fingers for, because you still have so many holes to fill on the defensive side of things. I know we got into that yesterday with Fletcher Cox's retirement speech, but it's still worth noting again. I got confidence in Vic Fangio. Now I just want to get I'll put it like I think Vic Fangio is going to be a good chef. All right, I think he's going to be a good chef. That he needs good groceries. You got to go get him the right ingredients, otherwise that meal is going to be crap. So that's what I'll cross my fingers for going forward with your Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Want to bet on the world of baseball? Want to bet on the world of basketball? Playoffs just around the corner. Sixers trying to avoid that play-in tournament. Do what I do. MyBookie and MyBookie.ag. Download the app. Use promo code Farzy. Get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus. Maybe betting on sports isn't your thing. Maybe you like betting on other things. You know what you can bet on? I'll tell you what you can bet on. You can bet on the world of politics. If that's your bag. Not mine, but it might be yours. You can also bet on the world of television. Who's going to end up with who? Check it all out at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. How about the Game Time app? Want to go to the game? Want to go to the concert? Want to go to the big comedy show? Download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase with the great people at the Game Time app. Here's what's so great about the Game Time app. One of my favorite things, all-in pricing. Because nothing drives you more crazy than when you're trying to get tickets for an event and they're like, oh, $20 tickets. And then you go to cash out. It's like, how did those $20 tickets become $30 tickets? How did that wildly inconvenient convenience fee creep its way into my purchase? Surprise. $10 more. Nope. Don't like that. Doesn't happen. You get all-in pricing up front with the Game Time app. And you also get the Game Time guarantee. What does that mean? That means if you find tickets in the same section or row for less money elsewhere, the Game Time app gets you back at 110% of the difference with 110% credit to your Game Time account. So download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy. Get up to $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine Thursday morning. Week's flying by, folks. Also, you know what I just realized? I got to mow the lawn. Not today. It's probably going to rain, but I don't mow the lawn. April! Good morning, April. Sean, what's going on? Sean Kilray. JT is one hell of an SOB. Love the way he plays the game. You know what I was reminded of yesterday? I was reminded of JT Realmuto. Like before it was trendy with Bryce Harper playing first base. JT Realmuto just told Gabe Kapler, put me at first base. Do you remember that? He had never played first base before, but they wanted to give him a day off, and he's like, all right, well, don't give me a day off. How about I play first? And Gabe Kapler's like, but you've never played first base before. And JT Realmuto was like, that's cool, man. I can play first base. Just put me at first base. He's like, are you sure? Because you've never been out there. And it's like, well, I don't want to take a day off, man. So just put me at first base. And Gabe Kapler's like, okay, grab a mitt. And then he went and played first base. That's the mentality of this guy. He took a bouncer off the jugular, folks. Felt dizzy immediately got a headache, took him out of the game, gave him a concussion test. He was fine. And then back in the lineup yesterday, and he got you essentially 3 hits. He got 2 hits, but one was a misplay. But he still put good wood on it, put out there in center field. Victor Scott didn't know what he was doing, and he dropped it, and he ended up getting a run out of it. And then JT ended up scoring a run. Not bad. Not bad. There, JT Realmuto. Gamer. Absolute gamer. T-Bro, Nola with the Jamie Moyer velo. Yeah, man. Somebody just put the stat out there yesterday that Jamie Moyer, at the time that he retired, faced 8.9% of all hitters in baseball. Bonkers, man. I feel so bad that what did he end up with? Jamie Moyer, I really wanted him to get to 300 wins. And then he was just, when he was done, he was done. Remember, he went out to the Rockies. Played for the Colorado Rockies for a second. Him and I think Kyle Kendrick ended up finishing the careers out there. Excuse me. But he finished with Jamie Moyer 269 wins. Nice. 269 wins for Jamie Moyer. 209 losses. Couple more years, could have held on. He pitched 49 years old. One of his last games with the Phils, I think it was 2010. He might have pitched a complete game shutout, if I'm not mistaken. One of his last games with the Phillies, I think it was in 2010, maybe it was 29. I think it was 2010, because I remember watching that game, and I just started dating my wife, and it was on at the bar. And I was like, look at Jamie Moyer. And she's like, who? I'm like, never mind. Anyway, let me just this will be easy. Just punch that button right there. 7 scoreless was his best one against the Marlins. I could have sworn he put in oh no, it wouldn't have been 09. I don't know, but it was some incredible start that he had very late in his career. Daz, good morning. Pirate series is going to be tough. Don't have to haste Paul Skeens. Yeah. Who was I looking at? Who are they facing tomorrow? I usually get that. I'll get to that in the morning rush, but yeah. Today. Ranger Suarez gets the start for the Phils. Sean Gillespie, good morning. IBH, what's popping? Jeff, what's going on, Jeff? Sixers can now land the 6th seed, which is nuts. Don't forget the Houston Rockets win a championship as a 6th seed. Back it with Elijah. Wow, that's a pull. Would not have remembered that they were a 6th seed, but that's awesome. Hey, look, it could be the perfect combination for the Sixers. That could be a perfect spot for them. I am willing to hold on to anything that will help me think the Sixers will at least make it out of the second round. Twiz, what's going on? Good morning. Jason A., what's popping? Morning, folks. Marsh has been my favorite Philly besides Harper for a couple of years now. There you go. How could he not be? How could he not be? Sean Gillespie, how are you? Daz, hello again. I saw that Orioles called up Jackson Holiday. Did you guys see Buster Olney's tweet from 2013? Did you guys see this? Jackson Holiday, Buster Olney put it out there that Jackson Holiday was going to be an all-star. And they're like, I don't know how old he was at the time. But I would assume 11. I don't know. And they go, yeah, he's going to be an all-star. And Buster Olney's like, I stand by my statement. I just saw him hit. He's going to be an all-star. And they showed the video of him getting the message in the O's organization about getting the call up. And he just said, the skipper said, hey, I want you to call your dad. And I want you to thank him, Matt Holliday. I want you to thank him for all he did for you growing up and all the clubhouse passes and all the stuff of him coming in the club, you coming in the clubhouse, because now he's going to be calling you for clubhouse passes. You're going to the show. Love those moments. Love those moments. Twiz, forgot to set up coffee. What? Huh? What happened? Just grabbed my Starbucks espresso. I'm doing good over here. Oh, there you go. The Starbucks espresso. You know what I appreciate about Starbucks espresso on the rare occasion that I actually get a Starbucks espresso? They don't give you the mini, tiny little cup. Like if you're a regular espresso drinker, such as myself, a lot of places just give you this little cup, and it looks like you're walking around with a urine sample. Excuse me, who do I give this to? Check. Who do I give this to? Anyway, so I appreciate that about Starbucks. I don't really like. Shut up, you phone. Anyway, what else we got here? Hutch. This is going to be another inconsistent season from the Phillies. For such likable guys, this team is so frustrating. Hey, let's put it like this. The Phillies are in a better spot than they were a year ago. I was thinking about that last night. Like the Sixers. The Phillies are 6-6 on the young season. Okay. They lost, 5 straight at one point last year? Like in the early goings of the season? Like I'll take a 6-6 start to the year. Let's see. By 12 games in last year, I'll tell you where they're at. 12 games in last year, the Phillies had lost their opening series to the Rangers. Things were looking good. And then they weren't looking good. They were 1-5. The Phillies were 1-5 in their first 12 games. I'm a moron. I'm sorry. They were 1-5 to start the season, and then they started to go on a little bit of a run. Yeah, they're pretty terrible. They're pretty terrible. So for me, I am happy with 6-6. Bats always start slow in April for us. Yes, Daz, I agree. Typical Phillies April baseball. This is the show. This is the movie. We've seen it before. I just hope that they got enough in the tank to turn it around again. Daz, I just don't understand how you let guys like Chris Sale and Tyler Glasgow go, or just go to the Braves and Dodgers without even trying. Well, they were, you're right. Look, bottom line is you're right. The only thing I can say is they were at least kicking the tires on Jordan Montgomery, but even that they lost, so I don't think they were kicking the tires that hard. And Blake Snell, too. Jason, it could really happen for the Sixers. Magic game is huge for playoff seeding. I know. Ari, good morning. Ari, our resident St. Louis Cardinals fan. Let's talk about the Eagles. He is an Eagles fan. But yeah, welcome. What did you make of Lance Lynn's belt removal? Odd? Or is that just something you do in St. Louis? I don't know. Had no clue the Red Sox had gotten Tyler O'Neill. Yeah. What a steal for them. Yep. Oh, here we go. Oubre needs to be re-signed, needs to be a starter next year. I'll take it. And you know what I just saw recently on Kelly Oubre? I didn't see his post-game interview after he got that little scuffle with Dante DiVincenzo. Kelly Oubre wants that smoke, man. He wants that smoke. He doesn't give a damn. He wants that smoke. That's the attitude of a player I need. Mike Trout smashing right now. Get that man a Phillies uniform. Way overdue. Look, I'm not getting my hook from Trout. I don't see that happening at any point. It would be exciting. If you're telling me one of the best players ever in baseball is on the Phillies and he's still got stuff left in the tank, he's going to stay healthy, yeah, then I'm happy. But I don't know if he's going to stay healthy, and that's been a huge problem for him. And I know he's smashing baseballs out there. Sunday, Sixers have until Ricky Council won't be available for the playoffs. Oh, the two-way contract, yeah. If they don't sign him, the last roster spot on a real contract, they can't use him. Yeah, I would really hope that the his usage late in these games and this late in the season, getting this opportunity now, Ricky Council getting this opportunity now at this point in the season, in crucial moments in the game, is huge. Yeah, I would certainly hope that the Sixers are going to re-sign, or at least take him off the two-way deal and bring him up official before the postseason. Bucks cook the Magic. What's up, Sean? Heat lost to Dallas. Sixers win out, and things get interesting if Indy doesn't mess it up somehow. Yeah. Ari, what's up? Very worried about Sirianni on at the top. I'm betting there's still more that we don't know going on behind the scenes. Sirianni does the most important thing, and that's have Jeffrey Lurie feel like he owns the team. Yeah. That's up to Jeffrey Lurie likes. Can't say I fault him for it. It just better end in another Super Bowl. Green and yellow, pretty obvious what the NFL was doing. Getting them Brazilian colors, are you? Yeah. Daz, you a World Cup guy? Sirianni will probably be making coffee for himself soon. That's funny. I like that. Twiz now have a guy we don't want to tackle or a guy who can't outrun a lineman. At the quarterback position? Yeah, that's pretty much what we've come to. Mark looks tired. Nick, get the espresso machine fired up. I am, dude. It's been wild. Since I started doing the post-game shows again, my sleep schedule is like non-existent. Sirianni is too unstable to make Farzi's special drink. This is all true. Need a corner. I agree. Get a cool. There you go. There you go, T-Bro. Oh, you only heard about Lance Lynn's belt removal? It was an odd one. It was an odd one. Yeah, Dalton, I don't think has gotten enough good minutes at the end of the season. He got good minutes last game. I don't think there's been enough. Ricky Council's been doing it for you at different parts of the season. Oh, Daz, Cuban coffee down here in Florida, nothing better. I will. Oh man, I love espresso. But I mentioned the Ertz Family Foundation earlier. I was at an event for them, their ribbon cutting for House of Hope in Hunting Park, and they had the luncheon, like the gathering before we went over. I wish I knew the name of the place. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. But Lisa Ertz, Zach's mom, is up at the microphone, and she's like, you have to have the Cuban coffee here. The Cuban coffee is incredible. You have to have the coffee. So we had the coffee, and oh my God. I've never had coffee that tasted that good. Like, I really like Greek coffee is very good. Turkish coffee is very good. But Cuban coffee, oh my goodness gracious. Like, I'll go to Hunting Park just to get this coffee. It's so damn good. If I'm like, okay, is there a way I pass by it? Oh man, I can't just tell you that and not tell you the name of it. Yeah, I don't even know. It's not. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't Google it easily, unfortunately. Farzy, you do Phillies post games on Jacob like last year. I'm doing them on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. So you can catch me on there for Sixers and Phillies games. If there's a conflict, it's going to go to the Sixers right now because of the playoff implications. Des, great, right? Yeah, amazing. How about that? Can't believe I'm awake this early. Crawley, what's going on? Nice to see you. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. There you go. Dads, I'm up at 6 like clockwork. Don't need a rooster. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see here. All right, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Sixers off tonight. Back at it tomorrow night. Flyers. Oh, God. Flyers are back at it tonight, 7 o'clock. Puck drop. 8 games now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, good Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 losses in a row. 7 o'clock puck drop with the New York Rangers tonight. That's how that goes. Like I said, the Phillies are back at it tonight as well. 6:40 start time against the Pirates. They start up a 4-game series and a 10-game homestand for the Phils. At 6-6, they start this series. Pittsburgh Pirates 9-3 on the year. Jared Jones goes for the Pirates. He's 1-1 on the season with a 3.86 ERA. Ranger Suarez gets the start. The lefty being on the bump for the Phils tonight. 1-0 on the season with a 4.09 ERA. In his last start against the Washington Nationals, Suarez went 6 innings, allowing 2 runs on 4 hits, including just 1 home run in a 5-2 Phillies victory. The Phillies have won both starts for Ranger Suarez so far on the season. Unfortunately for Ranger, he has just 1 win to show for it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. I'll be back with you guys tonight on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel for a Locked On Sports Philadelphia Phillies postcast. So catch me there. We do about a half hour after the game. We're going to have ourselves a good time. Oh, the Masters. Yeah, thank you. Crawley, the Masters start today as well. That's always fun. Hello, friends. There you go. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, as well as the Farzy Show YouTube channel. And go on over to Locked On Sports Philly for post-game coverage as well. Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and you'll see me after all the post-games. Have yourself a good time. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you.